You can now use our platform, create an educational system to create a copy of yourself that teaches, that maybe has represents your knowledge or your life story even. So the
Nice.
bot, so instead of being afraid of losing your job, train a bot and get that bot to work for you. Pass away, it'll still be there, and people can talk to a version of you. And some people will say, "Oh, well, that's creepy." But my goal is that for anybody who wants to share their knowledge, that they have their own knowledge avatar or more knowledge avatars to help them share their knowledge and to hopefully monetize it as well. But an intellectual bot, which is what we're doing, can also be useful because now, not only if you're a teacher, not only can you teach more people, but you could also charge for that.
Meet Emiliano De Laurentiis, founder of Knowledge Avatars and a pioneer in educational technology who built one of the first educational chatbots and has spent decades shaping the future of personalized learning. Emiliano, welcome to the show.
Welcome to another episode of The Executive Edge, a podcast where we sit down with leaders, builders, and operators to explore the decisions that shape enduring businesses and meaningful lives. I'm your host, Camille Holmes, and today's guest is Emiliano, founder of Knowledge Avatars, a platform that allows educators, experts, and organizations to create AI tools trained on their specific knowledge and teaching style. Emiliano built one of the first educational chatbots back in 1981, long before modern AI. Today's focus on democratizing expert knowledge through scalable AI systems. Emiliano, welcome to the show.
Kamal, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being on your show today.
Absolutely. So, what I like to do with my guests, I always like to jump into the origin story. So, you built an educational chatbot in 1981, right?
I did.
Most people hadn't even seen a graphical interface yet, right? What's the through line between the early experiment and knowledge avatars today?
Well, the whole thing was, first of all, we wanted to, in 1981, this was before the Macintosh, so before the user interface, the graphical user interface. And we were thinking, how should people interact with computers? How is it going to be through a mouse? And the mouse hadn't been invented yet. Had been invented, but was still in a laboratory. In fact, I was a graduate student at McGill University in the 70s, late 70s, and I was invited by the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center to see their latest stuff. So I saw the first mouse, the first graphical user interface, the first laser printer. It was great stuff. I was probably there within maybe a few months of Steve Jobs, right? And Steve Jobs saw
Mhm.
that and was inspired to create the Macintosh. So I went back to McGill. I was running at the time. I was running the computer-based instructional research lab, which was a lab where we did research on AI and on educational software. And of course, it was all new. People barely knew what a computer was. In fact, in those days we didn't have like today. People talk about computers, talk about mainframes and computers, right? Right. But in those days, it was mini computers, microcomputers, and mainframes. So a microcomputer was basically a desktop computer. A mini computer was about the size of a refrigerator. And the mini computer in those days is probably what you would have in your pocket in your phone today, right? And a desktop computer had about 4K of memory. My first computer was a TRS-80. It had 4,000 bytes, period, of memory.
Wow.
Today you can't do
Wow.
anything with 4K, right?
Right.
So, so our goal was to, first of all, I came from the educational psychology department. I had
Mhm.
studied cognitive science. I studied AI, and we were looking at what in those days we were talking about expert systems, but we're also talking about neurology. How does the brain work? How do people think? So we were looking at all those factors, but in the educational department, we were focused on how do we individualize learning? How do we take into account everybody's individual differences as they are learning? Because we all come to the classroom or to any learning situation with a different perspective, with a different background, with different knowledge, different skills, and and you know, at the beginning of the 20th century, you know, that was the Industrial Revolution, and everybody essentially started thinking about how do we teach the masses, and, you know, how do we teach the most number of people the skills that they need to run factories, to work in factories, and to get stuff done, right? But that was, and that is how we have been progressing throughout the 20th century. So now the question, but that is not the ideal way for people to learn. We all come to a learning experience with different backgrounds, with different experiences, with different motivations, and different mental health issues as well that affect how we approach learning. So this was none of this was taken into account during the Industrial Revolution. So now, but we're still running schools in that way, right? We still have a teacher teaching a class of people. We still have learning management systems teaching a bunch of people. One learning management system teaching hundreds of people, and the amount of differentiation, or the amount of taking into account the individual differences of people is minimal even today in all these systems. So finally, we have a system we have systems that can be more personal. So even in 1981, I was working. You know, going back to your original question, I was working with a cybernetician, one of the top cyberneticians in the world. His name was Dr. Gordon Pask, and he was from Oxford University. And at the time, he was a guest lecturer at Concordia University in Montreal. This is where I grew up, and this is where I went to school. And he had this thing called conversation theory that he had developed. In fact, I probably have one of the few books that are still around about conversation theory. And it was a very complex theory, but the idea behind it is that how do people communicate with each other? How will people communicate with bots? Already he was thinking of that, and he was thinking of AI, and even how will AI communicate with AI, and so we started thinking about how is it that what is the best user interface for people to communicate with knowledge? Is it going? And at that time we thought it's going to be a conversation, and that was the genesis. That was the reason why we started. We built a chatbot into our first product, which was Arrakis. My company was called Arrakis Systems. Then we changed the name to Arrakis Technologies, and the software that we published with Prentice Hall was called the Arrakis Advantage series. And we published initially 18 educational software products that taught math and science, and eventually we built it up to other things as well. We were teaching Shakespeare, we were teaching Chinese, all kinds of stuff. But the idea was to have a conversation. And of course, the technology in those days was not as good as it is today. But now we've come full circle, and we're able to have a conversation. So is a conversation better than a graphical user interface? That's going to be a question, right? Like I don't know how many people have even thought about that. Well, Socrates, the philosopher, hated books, right? He didn't like books because books essentially froze the conversation. If you had a book, you couldn't talk to the author. Right? You just have to read the book. You either agreed with it or not, but you couldn't debate with the author. But if you have the author in front of you, you can debate with them and go deeper into the conversation. And that is what we can do today. Today with AI, we can have a conversation with the original author, and actually dive deeper into it and say, okay, well, why do you think that? Why is this your philosophy? Or let's dive deeper into a mathematical problem. So now the question is, well, OpenAI and Gemini and all these other systems, they have big knowledge, right? They have knowledge. There's a lot of knowledge in those systems. Well, who are you talking to? Are you talking to Kamal, or are you talking to Emiliano, or are you talking to whose knowledge are you talking to? Or are you talking to everybody's knowledge all put together? So, so our goal with Knowledge Avatars was to, so Knowledge Avatars is a platform where an expert can train it with their own knowledge and teach with a character, with a voice and all that. We started building this 9 years ago. It was way before OpenAI even existed, and and the idea is, and it has, and Knowledge Avatars, it knows how to teach. We've taught it how to teach. That's the beauty of it. So, so the question then is, what are you? Who are you talking to? Well, with Knowledge Avatars, you could teach it with Emiliano's content. You could teach it with Kamal's content. So that if I'm talking to the Kamal's knowledge avatar, it is Kamal's knowledge, and I mean, and that's why we called it Knowledge Avatar. It's an avatar of your knowledge. It's not just some big corporation's idea of what it is.
Right.
You know,
Right.
today, if you talk to Grok on X, whose bias are we talking to? Is it Elon Musk's bias? I don't trust Grok. I wouldn't trust Grok for anything because it is being tweaked behind the screen for whatever purposes they have. So so that is where we are different. We have our system is really it's designed to represent you, but also to represent your knowledge, and to make it easier for you to also make use of that, to monetize it, and your knowledge can be out there teaching people on a platform. All you have to do is put it behind a paywall, and now you could be teaching people while you're sleeping, or enjoying some wonderful times in Bermuda.
That'd be nice, right? All right. All right. So now that we've delved deep into what's your story, let's talk a little bit about your first clients, right? When you launched Knowledge Avatars, who said yes first? And what did you show them that convinced them that it wasn't just another generic AI tool?
Well, that's a good question, frankly, our first foray into this whole thing was that when we had two. There are two. First of all, AI wasn't popular yet. So, like I said,
Right.
our first minimally viable product. Our first minimally viable product was about 5-6 years ago, right? So this was before OpenAI, before people talked about AI, and before it became mainstream. So what we did is we started reaching out to schools, we started reaching out to other people, to experts, to trainers, and so forth, and we found that there are two camps. One camp got it immediately, and they said, "Wow, this is the future. We want to dive in." And then the other camp was, "Why do I need this?" it's
Mm,
it's. I just learned the other day that when the pencil eraser was invented, that people rejected it. That people
mm.
didn't like when the blackboard was invented, that was rejected. People didn't want the blackboard. So a lot of the initial reaction with a lot of people in many fields, not just education, but many fields, is to say no, because they think, why do I need this? And that was the case also with AI and with knowledge avatars. But we had a few people who were really very excited about it. So we had some seed investors. Some people came in, and we started focusing in on building partnerships, and we found partners who were very excited. Now there were a few difficulties in figuring out how to in marketing it and getting the market to accept it. But then over the years, especially over the last several years, it's become much more exciting and much more accepted. So now people are saying, now everybody's talking about AI, right? So now the question isn't it's not do we use AI or not? Now the question is, how are you different? How are you special? And
Yeah.
that
Right. Yeah.
and so from a business perspective, so in a way it's a good problem to have, because most of my life
Mm,
I've been the problem I've had is trying to trying to teach people what the product was. Like even in the 80s, we were telling people what is a computer, what's a microcomputer.
Yeah.
So many schools didn't understand what a computer was. So being ahead of the curve is not necessarily such a great place to be in. Look at Apple. Apple is they're always looking ahead, but they never come into the marketplace until there's been some proof, right? That there's some proof that there's a
Yeah.
market. So, look at the MP3s, for example. MP3s existed before the iPod, but they came in with the best product when there was a clear need for iPods or for
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
mobile music,
Yes.
they've had that pattern. So we were ahead of the market a number of times, and it's always been a hard place to be because you're educating people of what are the possibilities, and they don't necessarily see it.
Right.
So now we have moved. Now we're at a position where AI pretty much mainstream. Everybody knows what AI is. Everybody's using it somehow. They see it on Instagram. They see it on YouTube. They see it everywhere, and it's very exciting. But we have to. But now we're in a different position, which is so we have competitors, and we have to explain to our competitors what the differences are, and how we are
Yes.
different from everybody
Okay.
else.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You talk about Apple. I think you brought up a good example with Apple. I remember um, when you talked about the iPod, but even the iPhone, right? By the time the iPhone came out, right, there were still smartphones in the market, but then iPhone came out and it like revolutionized what it meant to have a phone. You know what I
Right.
mean? And now we take that and we look at AI, right? I think you said it best. It's actually a good problem to have where we're in an age where everyone has access to AI, but it's like, okay, well, what makes you different? And I think that's like actually the really cool thing about seeing how other people are actually building around AI, right? Because now it's like a competitive race to be different. We all know people have AI now, but it's like it's really cool to see the competitiveness and well, yes, I have AI, but I do this. Whether it can be a SaaS platform, it can be what you have, right? Educational platform, right? It can be copywriting, right? It can be all these different things, and it's
Yeah.
super fast.
And a lot of people today they use AI to help themselves, to become better writers, to do research, to get information that they need. What we're doing is taking the knowledge that you have as an individual, and instead of writing a blog or writing a book or writing anything or even writing a memoir, you can now use our platform to create an educational system that you can to create a copy of yourself that teaches, that maybe has represents your knowledge or your life story. Even like we have a thing coming up called living memoirs. So your memoirs you can use knowledge avatars to store your memoirs, and now people can talk to a version of you. Not as you're alive. If you have, as you get older, you may lose your memory. That's still there. When you pass away, it'll still be there, and people can talk to a version of you. And some people will say, "Oh, well, that's creepy." But you know what? Uh, the, we didn't have videos at one time, and now everybody watches videos. If somebody passes away, we watch videos of
Yeah,
our loved ones.
sure.
We didn't have photographs at one time, and now everybody remembers people by watching those photographs. So this is all it's all an evolution of how we store our memories and remember people. Um,
Yeah, really
so I think
cool,
that
really cool.
it will be now a constantly improving process.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, Now I want to jump deep into your current business development. You're pursuing B2B partnerships with training organizations, museums, educator networks. When a partner
Partners.
signs on, what does that actually look like operationally?
Well, the start of the partnership is that we will provide them with one of the things that I've learned is that they need our help. People need our help. Entrepreneurs need our help to to figure out how to use AI in a way that will benefit them the most. And I mean, economically, to help them meet their needs. So the beginning of the partnership is that we will provide the partner with access to me or somebody else every week. Every week we have access. It'll be either through Discord or Zoom or whatever. People they will have access to us so that we can brainstorm and think about how to use this technology in a way that will benefit them and meet their goals. And then we'll give them preferential treatment in helping them to train the bot, create a bot for their clients or for their organization. So, for example, we have a partnership relationship now with Trainers Box. Trainers Box is a network of trainers across the U.S. and Canada, and we give them preferential treatment, both from pricing but also from support, so that these trainers can learn about this technology and apply it to their customers. So a customer may be a large corporation, Fortune 500 corporation, that they need to train, and maybe they get 20, 30 training contracts a year from these companies. Now they can use knowledge avatars to help the training process, to provide just-in-time training, to provide a deeper level of training, and so on and so forth. So we're working with one group, for example, that is developing a rugby league in the U.S. And they're going to use knowledge avatars to train coaches and
Oh,
students.
wow. Nice.
We're working
Cool.
with another group that is working with museums, and that is so with museums, the idea is to help people understand, to interact with historical characters. So we're developing historical personas. In fact, if you want to see one, I can show it to you.
Oh, really? Yeah, that would actually be pretty interesting. I would love to see it.
Let me share my screen, and I'll share with you here. And I think you'll recognize this dude, right? Good
Oh,
friend George
okay.
in
Interesting.
Washington.
Look at that. George Washington. All right. I'm interested to see this.
Good day to you. I trust you are well. Tell me, what matter is on your mind today?
I was
Oh, my
wondering
goodness.
why you decided to gain independence from England.
We sought independence because we believed a people should govern themselves, not be ruled from afar without their consent. England's taxes and laws were imposed without our voice in Parliament, and that, sir, we could not abide.
Were there any problems in setting up the Constitution?
Indeed, there were many disagreements. The states held differing interests, and questions of power between the federal government and the states caused much debate. Yet through compromise, we forged a document strong enough to unite us.
How did you manage to work out all the differences?
That's so cool.
Through patience, earnest debate, and a willingness to yield where possible for the greater good. The spirit of union guided us more than personal gain. Without that, the Constitution could not have been born.
What do you think of your wife?
Martha is my steadfast companion. Her wisdom, kindness, and strength have been a constant support through war and peace alike. I could not have borne my burdens without her.
So,
Wow.
as you can see,
Really cool.
having a conversation with
Really
George
cool.
can be quite interesting, quite insightful. And we are training
Yes.
George with, papers of his that have never been published before. So it's not just content that already exists, and I think it'll be very fascinating to see these historical personas. But that is just one application of knowledge avatars. And we have two types of characters. We have the realistic characters that I just showed you, and then
Hmm.
we have the stylistic characters that are also fascinating and less expensive to use. So because we want to make sure that our system is accessible and available to everybody. So we have both. The realistic ones are in beta. We're just setting it up now, but then we also have the stylistic ones as well.
That is so cool. I can't believe I just saw George Washington talk in real
Yeah.
time. That was pretty cool. Yeah. So when you talk about that, right, like delivering this to a customer, right? Who's your ideal customer today? And which segment is actually driving revenue right now?
Well, ideally, at the moment, the fastest moving players are the independent trainers and so organizations like the Trainers Box, and we are working with other organizations as well to provide. I can't talk about all of them because we're in negotiation, but
Mm-hmm.
organizations that have coaches, that have influencers. These are all organizations that can benefit from our technology, and that where so you can monetize. The idea is to monetize. You know, people are all here's an idea. People are always talking about AI taking away your job, right? This is a big, like
Oh, yeah.
everybody's biggest
Hmm.
fear, right? And you know,
Yeah.
in your podcast, I'm sure talks about that a lot. Well,
Hmm.
what if you have a bot that works for you? Everybody should have their own bot, or maybe multiple bots. It could be a physical bot. Eventually, we'll have physical bots that can
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
clean homes. So I could maybe lease a physical bot that cleans homes and then rent it out to people to clean their homes and make a buck, right?
Make some money.
Um,
Yeah. Make some money.
you know, just like people now rent out their cars, right? They have car sharing
Yep.
networks. So why not have a bot sharing network? If I can afford to pay $20,000 or whatever it is, $50,000 to buy a bot, maybe I'll get that bot to work for me. And actually, I think the idea is that the bots will be about the same price as a car. So
Yeah.
let's use the number of
Mhm.
30,000 for argument's sake. So here we have a bot that's $30,000, and now you rent it out to your neighbors to clean their homes. It's making money, right? Or cut their grass. You know,
Yeah.
so it's a physical bot can be useful, but an intellectual bot, which is what we're doing, can also be useful because now not only if you're a teacher, not only can you teach more people, but you could also charge for that. You could be more efficient. You can teach more people. You can have smaller classes in the sense because now you have a tutor that has your knowledge, and that represents you. So that if you have a class of 20 students or 40 students, all those students can now talk to you at night when they're working on their homework and can help, and you can and so it's your information that's helping them be better students. But you could also monetize that if you're a coach and you want some kind of whatever coach you're teaching people about massage techniques or yoga or tai chi or whatever it is that you're teaching, you can now teach it and monetize that
Yes.
with knowledge avatars. And so the
Nice.
bots. So instead of being afraid of losing your job, train a bot and get that bot to work for you. and
Yeah.
yeah,
100%. No, one thousand
yeah,
percent.
yeah.
What would you say is bringing clients in the door? Is it content, partnership, referrals, demos?
Well, good question. I think that they are convinced by the demos, but they're convinced
Mhm.
by seeing is believing. I think support, developing a close relationship with people is important because there are certainly a lot of opportunities where you could just buy a bot and you're on your own,
Yeah.
or pay somebody and you're on your own. What we're trying to do is give people a concierge service so that so that you really get the help you need and get on board as fast as possible. And we're always iterating and improving the product as well because there's no there's a lot of technology behind all of this, and a lot of moving pieces. And you could probably put something together on your own, but you're not going to put it together as well as we have done.
Yes.
And like I said, one thing that we have done is embedded within the system educational pedagogy. So it knows how to teach. It knows you can ask a knowledge avatar, for example, what do I need to know to understand this concept? How
Hmm.
do I understand this concept? And it will tell you, you have to know these four things, and then you can go in and talk to it about these things. Um, we're also changing the personalities a little bit. You could tweak it. If you're creating a knowledge avatar, you can make it okay. You can make it just professional or like a teacher, or you could also make it Socratic. So now it doesn't give you the answer at all. I
Hmm.
mean, eventually it will, but what it does is
Right.
it asks you questions. So if you're a student trying to and you say just give me the answer to blah blah blah, it will say what do we need to know to understand this question? What is the problem? How do you understand this problem? And so that is how we make the system a better tool for teaching, and
Nice.
and that's the goal, right? That's the goal is not to simply get people to not to just give people the answer, but to have people think more critically.
Have to think more critically. Yes.
We have a bot, by
Let's
the way.
talk.
We have a bot that teaches people how to create knowledge avatars as well. So that's one of the services
Oh, wow.
that's one of the services that we offer. And I'll just show you real fast what you. So we're using a stylistic bot for that, and here we have this is Sheila, our bot, and she will tell you all that you need to know about how to create the knowledge avatar. So, for example, I say, but you could also brainstorm with her. You can also brainstorm with her about what ideas you might have, how to use the knowledge avatar. But first of all, let's just ask her a very simple question. How do I create a knowledge avatar?
Creating a knowledge avatar involves creating your base knowledge avatar, and then training it with concept definitions and examples. The base knowledge avatar is a knowledge avatar without your custom training. To start a knowledge avatar, click on Create Knowledge Avatars at the top menu. The next screen will show
Okay.
you your current knowledge avatars, if you have any, and a Create Knowledge Avatars button.
Right? So that's very simple.
Click on it to start creating your new knowledge avatar. Ask me, what am I missing? You can
Now
also
look at
ask me to
that.
go next
That's
to go to the next
insane.
concept.
Sheila's
So
all about business.
she's all business, and but the cool thing is that we could also brainstorm with her about like if you had an idea, like if I let's experiment. Let's say let's ask her something like how can I use actually let's start with can I use knowledge avatars with cars? Let's see what she says. I never asked her this question. She's thinking.
Knowledge Avatars is an AI assistant and educational companion that helps users fill their knowledge gaps and answers questions about concepts. It uses several AI engines to provide information. If Knowledge Avatars cannot find the answer in its brain, it will go to an outside source. Since there is no specific mention of using knowledge avatars with cars in the provided context, it is not clear if it can be used in that context.
So
Wow, there you go.
but we could keep on digging deeper and deeper here and ask and get the answers that the kinds of questions we're looking at. Now there is we have a knowledge avatar for I'm trying to find my screen here. There's a knowledge avatar as well for entrepreneurship. So one of our partners is is a consultant for entrepreneurs and also helps people raise money for their businesses. So we've trained that bot with information about there you go about entrepreneurship and how to raise money. So if you ask the same question to that bot, it would have a different answer. It would get here are some things, some business ideas that you may have.
Now that's really cool. Now that we're on that, right? So people can use knowledge avatars, and we also talked about like having bots, right? Helping with the day to day, and how knowledge avatars can help people with those things, right? Replication is powerful, right? But monetization is harder.
Yeah.
How does a subject matter expert make money with knowledge avatars?
Well, I mean, obviously having a network is important, and
Yeah,
let's say you're on LinkedIn or whatever. But that's true no matter how
right,
no matter what
right.
service you're offering. You obviously need to have an audience, and that's true no matter how you deliver your services. But now, if you want to deliver, but if you want to somehow teach people about with the information with your expertise, and if you're a coach, for example, let's say you're an entrepreneur coach, then what you want to do is you can put it on behind the paywall. You can put your knowledge avatar behind the paywall, and have it talk to people that way. What you could also do is you could have ads on the knowledge avatar. We can embed the ads right in the bot. So just above the bot, you'd have a banner, or you could have it surrounding the bot. So that's another way to monetize services. You could also have a sponsor. So a
Mm,
sponsor. So for example, we're working with museums, and we're looking at sponsorships with museums as well. Yeah.
okay, all right. Every AI platform hits a constraint, right? What's the real bottleneck of knowledge avatars right now? Is it go to market? Is it content onboarding, technical limitations, or is it something else?
It's not technical limitations. Excuse me. It is getting the message out, the perception message about who we are and how we're different. That is definitely one element that's important. So it is go to market. It is basically having the resources to get out there with as many partners as possible, with whatever resources we have to get the message out about how we're different and how we are superior in so many ways from for an educational application. And
Right.
there are a lot of bots you could buy, a lot of AI, avatars out there that where you could just upload content. That's easy. People are doing that already. But with knowledge avatars, you structure the content because garbage in is garbage out.
Yep.
That's an old
Yep.
saying, right?
Yep.
And,
Absolutely.
and if you just upload a bunch of content, it doesn't make the bot smarter. It doesn't make the bot
Yeah.
understand the content. So that's why so with knowledge avatars, you have the option of putting it in a more structured way, so the bot knows what is what is what makes up chess, for example. It's tactics, it's strategy. What are the different tactics? So you're telling the bot what these tactics are, and so when you talk to the bot, it says, okay, well, here are the different tactics for having a good game. Here's a strategy that you would work on, and so it's learning the information in a very structured way.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the same thing with, you may want to teach English, for example. Well, what is English? Well, English is made up of things like sentences. And first of all, the alphabet, right? But then you have sentences and words and sentences and paragraphs and essays. So all these concepts come into it. So you could train this about with all of this and make it a lot more intelligent than just uploading a bunch of articles.
Looking into the next 12 to 24 months, I know we've talked before, you're transitioning ownership of Santa Media to focus fully on knowledge avatars.
Yes.
Um, what's the big bet for the next 12 to 24 months? Is it user growth, B2B partnerships, product refinement?
B2B partnerships is the main goal, I believe. The product we're always refining the product.
Yeah.
We're doing that
Right.
on an ongoing basis, but that's not the main focus right now. The main focus right now is to gain market share.
Okay.
And there are some markets are faster than others, but we can be patient. But
Right.
first of
Yeah.
all, first of all, we want to focus on the faster markets, but then there are other markets as well. So my goal is that for anybody who wants to share their knowledge, that they have their own knowledge avatar or more, one or more knowledge avatars to help them share their knowledge and to hopefully monetize it as well.
Yes, absolutely. If one thing had to happen for knowledge avatars to 10x, what would it be?
To have a big partner, a big
Yeah,
partner
okay.
that has the resources to really take us to the next level, and
Yeah.
we're working on that. We're talking to some really interesting people right now, and I think that we will be there very soon.
Emilio, Emiliano, this has been great. Before we wrap up, where should people go if they want to learn more about you, knowledge avatars, and want to connect with you?
So they can see my name on the screen. They can find me on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn name is De Laurentiis, so just my first initial and my last name. They can also find me on our website, of course, knowledgeavatars.ai. That is our website. So it's knowledgeavatars plural dot AI, and I think they'll find us very easily. My email is emiliano at knowledgeavatars.ai. So by all means, people can feel free to email me, and we'll respond to them as fast as possible.
All right. Perfect. Emiliano, thanks again. Really appreciate the clarity and long-term perspective you brought to this conversation. For those listening, like Emiliano said, if you want to get in contact with him, you know where to find him. LinkedIn, email. He'll get back to you as soon as he can. This has been another episode of The Executive Edge. I'm your host, Kamel. Thank you guys for listening. See you guys in the next one.
Thank you, Kamal.